Corey and Denise here with rvSometimer, and we got another RV review for you today. We are going to do the Grand Design Imagine. Just imagine how great this would be for your family. So I just want to remind y'all that we do a ton of research on all of this stuff, and then we come out and look at the product ourselves, but everything that we're telling you really is our opinion based on the way we use an RV, our needs and our priorities, and those are very well different than yours. So we just want you to take this information and apply it to what your needs and priorities are, and help you find the best RV for you. Starting with the roof on the Imagine. This is a wood trussed curved roof, and it's got a fiberglass insulation as well as a layer of reflective foil in it as well. And then on top of that there's a marine grade OSB that is sealed, and then a one-piece TPO roofing material is put over top. We've said before, TPO is not our favorite, but it's very reputable and it's being used a lot. No matter what roof you've got, you need to be doing the maintenance on it. You need to be up there inspecting it. You need to be careful when you're parking, and you need to be careful with weather exposure and sun, that kind of thing. So it's also a vented attic up there. Lets the air flow through. What else we've got? Because it's a curved roof, the water can shed. The water sheds down into these tiny little, almost eaves troughs, and out the spouts at the end. So that helps to keep the water away from your rig as well. I did want to mention that the roof also has an R40 insulation rating. And then let's move on to the wall construction. On all of the Grand Designs, you get an aluminum framed wall with 16-inch centers. Doors and windows are all framed out as well. The Imagine has a 1.5-inch foam insulation in it with the Luan, and then that is put through a laminating system which is pinch rolled. I think they could have went a little better and done the vacuum laminating, but this is what they're using. And in all of my forums and things that I look on to see if people have complaints or concerns, I didn't hear any problems with the lamination. So I don't think you need to worry about that on here. So the walls have an insulation rating of R7. They are a thinner wall. The materials, there's lesser used, lesser in the walls in general. This is what helps to bring weight down and allows the Imagine trailer to be a medium duty truck trailer. You can pull it with a smaller truck. So whenever you want to do that, you need to find a way to reduce weight, and so Grand Design's done that in a few different areas, the walls being one of them. So next we'll move on to the flooring in the Imagine. Now I will talk about the chassis, but first let's just discuss the flooring. It is an aluminum framed floor on the 16-inch centers, but its insulation's a little different in that it does have the reflective foil, but then it goes with the foam insulation, then the OSB, marine grade OSB plywood, and then the flooring. Also, this, because it has a different materials in it, it's a laminated floor, which is a little different than the Solitude and the Reflection. So yeah, you've got your flooring system, and then whatever lino or carpet or whatever is used is put on top of that. And the flooring in the Imagine does have an R rating of 30, so that's pretty good. I think that's actually equal to the Reflection. The chassis on the Imagine is a Lippert built chassis, and they tell me that it too has the drop frame, which allows for all of this basement storage. I mean, this is nice flow-through storage. I like it. So moving down on this chassis, I don't know if you can see underneath or not. It's tight. but it has a fully enclosed underbelly, and the underbelly has a metal sort of seal that goes around the whole perimeter. And as I've said in other instances, it's a good system. It's fully enclosed. It keeps the dirt, the grime, the water, that stuff out of there. But it also makes me concerned about if you ever needed to get in there and do maintenance. Like, do you cut it? Do you take that perimeter off? Like, how do you get in there? I've just seen some different systems on other trailers that would be better for that kind of thing. We do have a 4-point jack system, and it's a manual system. Most people have some sort of trick of the trade, you know, with a drill or something that helps them move that up. Let's move on over here to the stairs. So these are an aluminum stair, so you know they're not going to rust and become a problem for you. And then they would just fold up. I'm not going to do the whole thing, but it would just fold up and tuck into this space here for transit. The rest of the chassis, the suspension, the axles, the brakes, that's all Lippert as well. And hopefully you can see that down here. I just want to talk about forums and things like that, because when I do my research, I look all over for pros and cons about manufacturers and trailers. And I always worry that someone will read or hear a negative comment that they found on a forum and think that that's all trailers. And that's not true, and it's not every trailer that a manufacturer makes that has that particular problem. Nothing's perfect. When you hear something on a forum, just take that put it in the back of your mind as something to be watchful of, but don't just assume that every trailer would have that. And pay attention. You can take your trailer home, you can use it, try it out for a little while, and then take it in and get it inspected. Make sure that it's towing well and that you're happy with it. And if it needs a change or a modification, you can do that. But don't run out and load your trailer up with everything that every person on a forum told you you should have, because anything can be upgraded. The question is, do you need that? And I want you to just be thoughtful. Use your trailer for a while, feel it out, and then make your decisions of whether you think you need an upgrade or not. Around back here on the Imagine, you do have a ladder, which means that you have a fully walkable roof. Also, you've got your spare tire back here, so that's easy to access. And I see also that this trailer's got a 50 amp electric, so you can plug in here and then to the post. On this side of the trailer, in this storage bay, you've also got your utility console. So, you know, you've got your plug here, you've got plug-ins for TV or cable, and then you've got a battery disconnect. These tell you which way you're filling your tank, or you're hooked up to city water. Here's your fresh water, outside shower. And you can put that all through here, so when you shut the door, it's all nicely put away and hidden. And then this all flows through, and we'll take you down and show you where the valves are to pull the tanks. Come this way. So over here, this is where you hook up your sewer hose to, and then it goes out to the wherever you're dumping. Underneath here, you've got these valves. That's the gray, and the black is over here. What's important to note is that the valve itself that releases the tank is inside where it's heated, not circulated, but it's heated in there, and it keeps the grime and dirt and all that kind of stuff out of there. So that's a good system. So on these slides, it's important to understand how they work, but they have some seals that slide in and out and keep the water and debris out. They also have a rubber piece there, so that when this gets pulled in, it meets up against that, and it's a good seal there, so when you drive down the road, it's good. Underneath, let's take a look at the system. This is a rack and pinion slide system, and that moves into the frame of the trailer, and it's an electric one. And so basically you just push a button and it comes out and back and forth. So it's a good system for a slide this size, because slides are heavy, right? And so that's a good one. What I am noticing on this particular trailer is that there is no slide topper. These are things you can add if you choose. What it is a small awning piece that attaches to the trailer and comes out to the edge of the slide every time the slide moves out. And that protects the top of the slide from debris and water and things like that coming back in. So it is kind of a good investment to make. On the smaller slides on the Imagine trailers, there's a different kind of slide mechanism, and this is called a Schwinn slide mechanism, and it's a gear that goes back and forth. Still electric, you still just push a button and they come in and out, but it slides through this system. Schwinn has had problems in the past if they've been used on too heavy of a slide, so it is better on smaller slides and works just fine. But I also know that in newer construction, Schwinn has upgraded to a triple rail system, so that probably helps with a little heavier slides too. But you know, do your research on those. They seem to be fine. I'm not hearing any complaints on forums about the slides in Grand Design. Let's talk about the front of the Imagine. I don't remember if I mentioned it or not, but the whole insulation system from the roof does come through and come right down to the bottom of the front cap. You've got a fiberglass cap on here. It's got some lighting on it, which is nice and helpful when you're pulling in at night. It does have a rock guard on it. It's, you know, I've seen better. Well, that's what I can say. But you know, anything is better than nothing, because I've also seen nothing. So it's helpful when you're pulling a trailer to protect it. In your frame here at the back, you can see this is where you would set your batteries. So they'd all hook up there. Here's your propane system. I'm just trying to figure out. Oh, I'm not sure how big those are. Do you think those are 30 pounds? I think they're 20s too. So I'm going to say you have two 20-pound propane tanks up here. And you have this handy dandy electric jack system. So this is really a huge upgrade compared to the days when you had to crank and crank. Now you just push a button, jack comes down. So that wraps up the construction video on the Grand Design Imagine. If any of you have any additional information or questions, just leave me a comment. Otherwise, hit the like and the subscribe and join me for more.